I had such a hard time trying to think on how to start this review. It's a game that had promised so much that you'd think that Peter Molyneux was the guy selling it.
If you don't know who Peter Molyneux is, he's the guy that was behind games like Black and White and the Fable games. He's known for going up on stage and saying that the games he's working on are going to be revolutionary and will change the world. He's driving a nuclear-powered hype train made out of gold. You buy your ticket, hop on the train, and while it looks nice, the seats are uncomfortable, the food is bland, the entertainment is boring, and the toilets are backed up. It's not a bad ride, just not the one you were told you were going to get. Eventually they had to limit Molyneux's time on stage and prepare his speeches for him so that way he wouldn't be overselling his games. While Molyneux had no hand in Watch Dogs, it seems like Ubisoft has taken a page from the book that he would write. I looked at some of the stuff and thought it would be an interesting concept, but then I couldn't go to any gaming site without seeing something about Watch Dogs. Every day there was something new about Watch Dogs on Kotaku, maybe every other day on Joystick, and Polygon maybe once a week. YouTubers and vloggers were talking about it every chance they got. I would actually abandon the internet entirely just to get away from it.
I don't think I've ever seen a game get this much hype and this much coverage. Not even The Last of Us was hyped up this much, but we'll save that towards the end.
And as off topic as this is, but I want to get it out of the way as someone is going to bring it up in the comments, and it's something that I don't even want to mention because it's stupid. It's stupid on levels. If you saw it in its entirety, your brain, in an effort to protect you from becoming stupid, would kill you. Your brain would say, this person won't stop watching, I must protect them from themselves, and therefore your brain would cease all life support functions and you would drop dead right there. I am of course talking about Glenn Beck's coverage of Watch Dogs. When he said that Watch Dogs teaches people how to hack into cameras to invade people's privacy by looking into their bedrooms, my survival instincts kicked in and I shut the video off. He said that a video game, a non-educational video game, something that is purely for entertainment purposes, was teaching people how to hack and hack into camera systems so that way they could peer into people's bedrooms. It's obvious that Glenn Beck didn't play the game, and it's obvious that he knows nothing about computers, let alone how to hack. He was drinking way too much of that kooky conspiracy Kool-Aid that day, because there is no way that any sane person with a shred of common sense, and I mean a shred that's as thick as a human hair, would ever think that this game would be able to teach you how to hack.
If you managed to watch the entire video and survive, then you're one of the lucky few that live to tell the tale. Either that, or you watched way too much Jersey Shore or Honey Boo Boo that you became numb from the neck up.
Development started in 2009 at Ubisoft Montreal. They wanted the game to go beyond what open-world games were at the time by allowing the player to control the city through hacking. A new game engine called Disrupt was made, and they prioritized development on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. They say that a Wii U port is coming, which surprises me that it's taking so long. Think about it. They made it for the PS3, which uses cell architecture, the 360, which uses PowerPC, the PS4, Xbox One, and PC, which use x86-64 architecture. The Wii U uses PowerPC architecture. In fact, its processor is similar to the 360's, and interestingly enough, both processors were designed by IBM. But my main point is, you developed a game so that it's released on 5 different platforms simultaneously on May 27, 2014. But yet you hold back a Wii U version in a limbo state for Q4 of 2014, after saying the Wii U gamepad is a natural fit for Watch Dogs. Anyway, Ubisoft sent some of its developers to visit Russian-based antivirus firm Kaspersky to ask questions about hacking, getting answers like yes it would work but change the wording or no it doesn't work that way. Which seems pointless as they tied the hacking to one button so that way players don't need to focus on how when trying to focus on when and why. They sent people to Chicago to record dialogue so that way they could get the distinct Chicago accent, and they say that while they took some creative liberties with Chicago, it's pretty close to the actual Chicago. I don't know how true that is as I tried doing a map comparison but couldn't find a good Watch Dogs map to compare it to Google Maps.
I've never been to Chicago and I suppose I could visit it, but I could stick my head up a bull's ass to get a good look at a T-bone, but I'll take the butcher's word for it.
The game has gotten some pretty polarizing reception. Mainstream media says it's awesome, YouTubers say it's good at best to okay at worst, and there's people who just say that it sucks, but those are the minority. I bought the game and played it for a few hours once, so instead of continuing where I left off, I started a new game, because I forgot what I was doing and I forgot the controls. And when I got to where I left off, I realized why I stopped, but I'll explain that later. I intended Watch Dogs to be my first game review on the PlayStation 4, but things didn't go well as planned. but Watch Dogs is my first major game review on the PS4. Watch Dogs is a third-person open-world action game, and like all open-world games, at least the ones that I've played, which isn't that many, mostly consisting of a few GTA games and Red Dead Redemption, Watch Dogs doesn't really deviate from that formula at all, other than the added RPG elements and hacking. Like most open-world games, you're dropped into a city and have the main campaign, which is the story mode. And there's side missions, and there's plenty of those, and then there's some online interaction in the form of fixer contracts.
The game has you going through all three aspects in a very quick tutorial that shouldn't take you very long to complete. Unless it doesn't start the second part, and I'll explain that in a bit.
The gameplay is a mix of free running, stealth, and gunplay. The free running isn't all that fleshed out. It's not parkour by any stretch of the imagination. It's really just hopping over things that are in your way and climbing short ledges. It does flow nicely, but you're not going to be experiencing anything like Mirror's Edge. The stealth is pretty good and is integrated with a cover system. You press X to take cover behind a wall and you sneak against it. The stealth itself doesn't feel that fleshed out either, and it's more like sneaking around. You're not going to get anything on the same level as Metal Gear Solid. Now, what I just said about those two aspects, it is not criticism, just a warning not to expect anything revolutionary or on par with other games that had more focus on those aspects. And when you take into account that Aiden Pierce is a professional hacker, not a professional freerunner or professional covert operative, it makes sense that the freerunning or stealth wouldn't be on par with games that focus on those aspects. Otherwise, Aiden would be some sort of Superman outside the realm of realism.
It's good that they did it this way because Aiden is an ordinary guy, not a superhero, and the gunplay is based on your aim, so if you're a terrible shot, Aiden's not going to be a very good vigilante.
Aside from the main story, there's side missions that take the form of stopping crime. Every once in a while, you'll come across a spot where someone is planning a crime. Sometimes it just pops up on the screen, or other times you can get it through hacking an NPC's phone. Once you accept the mission, you'll either need to stop it or prevent it. You may come across an NPC that may be doing something where you need to stay at a considerable distance away, as there is a percentage bar that you have to watch. That bar determines the likelihood of a crime. If you're too close, the potential criminal will get scared and not commit the crime. But when that bar turns red, you need to leap into action, chase them down and take them out, and you get more reputation for taking them out alive. There's other missions where a crime is already in progress, like one that I tried to do with stopping human trafficking. I screwed it up to the point where I gave up on it because that truck is really hard to impossible to run off the road. Completing these missions will earn you bonus experience and extra talents in being the vigilante. Now I mentioned the tutorial having the vigilante mission that didn't start. You need to hack a person's cell phone to detect a possible crime. That person is supposed to be around the corner of your hideout. My first time doing this, there was nothing. I wandered the city, resulting in nothing. It wasn't until I reloaded the game that the person was where they were supposed to be. For this playthrough, the person was in the park across the street, so it may be totally random as to where that person is.
Then we get into the online portion where you can hack or get hacked into your game.
Completing online challenges will get you special rewards and increase your notoriety. I didn't really play with these, but I thought they were interesting in that you can get invaded by other players and invade other players in a variety of different challenges. It's pretty different than waiting in a lobby for a matchup to happen. The more you progress through the game, the more experience you get. And the more things you do, the more rewards you unlock, like different kinds of vehicles and different types of ammunition. It's a nice progression system and I like it, but there are times where the game just gives you something so you can use it, like needing to use jammers in certain areas that you haven't learned it yet as it's crucial to the narrative. Now the main thing this game has been selling is the hacking, which is interesting to control certain things, like changing lights, unlocking doors, and raising bridges. Unlocking some things is automatic, but there's others where you have to do a little switch minigame, and some of them can be way too big and have timed switches. And it does add to combat. You can short out electrical boxes and make them explode, or you can make steam vents blast steam, which I suppose works if they were computer controlled, but I wouldn't think that the valve would be controlled in that way, and you can also make enemies' grenades explode.
Even for a video game, a hand grenade that's connected to a computer network and therefore hackable is a really stupid idea. Funny, but stupid.
There's a lot of stuff to do in this game. Too much, in fact, to the point where a lot of it just feels the same. If you've seen Angry Joe's review, he pointed out that the side missions have no meaning, like the sex trafficking convoy, where it's 11 of the same types of missions and after you complete it, you get nothing as a reward. There's no closure to it at all, making it feel pointless. And I agree, you can only stop so many muggings, attempted murders, or whatever before it gets repetitive. They really did do a quantity over quality thing here, and there is a lot, and you can tell because you get constant notifications all the time. The driving mechanics are like any other open world game. They're not as refined as they would be in a real racing game, and they feel a little floaty, although motorcycles feel fine. Moving Aiden around is a little too stiff for my liking. Not bad, but I wish the controls were a little bit more loose. A lot of elements work to make the game playable, but I feel that they were just too ambitious trying to give us such a huge open world, and a lot of things to do on the side, that the main selling point, the hacking, is underplayed, being reduced to context-sensitive actions, and that's all that the hacking really is. They're just actions that alter the environment. It's great to see this element, but I think it would be better in a more futuristic setting, not 2013.
No, that wasn't a flub. This game takes place in 2013. Ironically, the year it was supposed to come out.
The story is comprised of 5 acts, and each act is broken up into chapters. You can skip to this point of the review if you want to avoid spoilers, but the plot is so overly convoluted that it ends up being stupid. You play as Aiden Pierce, a grey hat hacker who in the opening cinematic is working with another hacker by the name of Damien to steal a bunch of money. They find a strange file which alerts another hacker who is giving them away. Aiden backs out against Damien's wishes because Aiden wants to protect his sister, niece, and nephew. He plans to take them out of town as a surprise vacation, only to be ambushed and his niece is killed. 11 months later, Aiden becomes a vigilante and tracks down one of the assassins to interrogate him. As Aiden investigates, although he's told several times by his sister to stop because he's only making things worse, and judging by the destruction he causes in this game, she's right. Only for Damien to show up and force Aiden to help him by kidnapping his sister. Aiden is helped by another hacker named Clara, who's part of a hacking group called DedSec. Aiden finds the second hacker named Delford. They steal the data from his computers and find that it has a lot of dirt on every citizen in Chicago, making him effectively invincible to the law. They eventually find T-Bone to help them decrypt data that Clara can't do. After doing some missions for T-Bone, he agrees to help. They infiltrate Delford's base, steal his data, and kill Delford. The data is then stolen and deleted from Aiden by a hacker named JB.
Is Aiden just the Homer Simpson of hackers in Chicago? Clara's better than him, T-Bone's better than Clara, and JB got the better of all of them.
JB leaves a message that shows Clara that was the one who ratted Aiden and Damien out a year ago, which resulted in the death of Aiden's niece. Aiden tells Clara to go, confronts Damien about the data loss, who in turn rats out Aiden as a vigilante, alerting the police to his identity. Aiden and T-Bone find JB, take him down and retrieve the data. They find his sister and take her and his nephew out of town to keep them safe. They find the person who put the hit on Aiden and killed his niece was a guy named Dermot, who you see early in the game. He's the leader of a mob, runs a human trafficking ring, and owns the hotel that Aiden tried to rob the previous year. Aiden finds Dermot, hacks his pacemaker, and shuts it off. Before Dermot dies, he says that he ordered the hit because he thought Aiden was looking for blackmail on the mayor, who Dermot has close ties with. Aiden tries to save Clara from Dermot's men, but fails and she's killed. Aiden uploads the blackmail data and tracks down Damien. Finds him but is betrayed by his friend Jordy. He injures Jordy and kills Damien. Aiden accepts his role as a vigilante to protect the city. The mayor dies and is replaced by the VP of the company who built the CTOS, who also announces that the software will be adopted across the country.
Huh?
Okay, I can understand Dermot ordering the hit out on what is essentially a misunderstanding. He thought Aiden was going after blackmail data. Damien was injured and lost the use of one of his legs. But why does he want the blackmail data? He really has no reason to want it. If there is a reason, then I missed it because I was really bored with this game. Aiden is such a boring character, and I mean really boring. He feels like a piece of wood. Like when his sister is kidnapped, there is no change in his emotion. And that's why I shut the game off during my first playthrough. I was just so not interested in Aiden or any of the other characters, with the exception of Jordy, who is a really good character because he actually has a personality. And T-Bone himself is pretty cool. Aiden Pierce is also more of a dick than anything. He steals money from cancer patients and comic book nerds. He actually causes more damage doing whatever it is he's trying to do than he would if he just did nothing and moved on with his life. They try to make this Batman-esque character, with a tragedy and protecting the city, but Batman is interesting. He has emotion. His rogues gallery and allies are interesting. I don't get why Damien is in this game. The human trafficker, while a bad guy, has a silly motive for doing what he does. Clara is boring. T-Bone and Jordy are pretty cool. Aiden's sister isn't interesting.
How can you invest in a story when the main character is just so boring? And most of the characters around him are boring as well.
When I look at this game, I see a really good looking city. I assume that the graphics are great for the PS4. The character models look a little better than the PlayStation 3's, but the draw distance is really impressive. You can go really far out and see a lot of the buildings. But I really can't say if the graphics are really next-gen because there were some really impressive-looking games on the PS3, like Metal Gear Solid 4 and Uncharted 3. The music is good as long as you're not in the car. The music that plays on the radio is terrible, so terrible that I shut it off every time. I really can't say that this game is truly a next-gen game. It feels like any other open-world game, and when my friends have asked me about it, I tell them that it's Grand Theft Auto with hacking. If you're not hacking something, which you won't be most of the time, you're either driving from place to place or shooting up someplace. Or you're sneaking around. I won't even call it stealth because other games like Tomb Raider or Uncharted have done stealth better. There's not even melee combat and taking someone down doesn't count in the slightest.
Watch Dogs is a game that was just way oversold. It's decent at the best and rental at the worst, and you should approach this one with caution. And that's why Watch Dogs is the perfect example of why there's so much stuff wrong with the game industry.
I forgot which video I said it in, but I had brought up that Watch Dogs is the perfect example of everything wrong with the game industry, and I still stand by that statement. And it's not just hyping up games, it's false advertisement, bribery for good ratings, this pre-order culture which I didn't even think was a thing, carving up games for exclusive content, and the list just goes on and on. First, let's bring up hype. Watch Dogs and Titanfall are two games of 2014 that I can say were way overhyped. IGN's tagline for Titanfall was "Believe the Hype," and it was used by EA to market the game. The industry has gotten to the point where they pay more for advertising than they do actual game development. They've spent $500 million on Destiny, and about $300 million of that has gone to advertising. I played the Destiny beta for about 30 minutes before getting bored and shutting it off, but I will give it a shot when the full game is released. But let's think about this for a sec. Why would somebody hype up a game? Very interesting. Here's the way I see it. Guy puts some fancy hype on a game because he wants you to feel all warm and toasty inside. And of course it does. Why wouldn't it? You figure you put that game under your pillow at night, the hype fairy might come by and leave a quarter, am I right? Well, the point is, how do you know that the fairy isn't some crazy glue sniffer? Building model airplanes, says the little fairy. Well, I'm not buying it. He sneaks in your house once and that's all it takes. Next thing you know, there's money missing off the dresser and your daughter's knocked up. I've seen it 100 times. And you may ask, why would they hype up a game? Well, it's because they know all they sold you was a hyped up piece of shit. That's all it is, isn't it? Hey, if you want me to take a dump in a box and mark it hyped, I will. I got spare time. But now, for your wallet's sake, for your daughter's sake, you might want to think about taking some quality advice from me.
And what's with giving games awards before they're even released? And when it being nominated for something get considered a selling point? Our game got nominated for Best in Show. Nipple nuts, that doesn't mean you won it.
Watch Dogs got 82 awards and nominations, but Wikipedia only lists 10 of them, and out of those 10, Watch Dogs won 3 of them. Compare that to The Last of Us, which has won most of the awards it was nominated for, and is a game that deserves the praise that it gets because it's a work of art. From the looks of it, Watch Dogs was nominated for 82 things but only won a small handful of them. You can see where I'm coming from this. These trade show and website awards are being used to hype up the game, to get people to rush out and pre-order it, which pre-ordering needs to stop. Stop pre-ordering. You're doing yourself a disservice if you pre-order a game. All pre-ordering does is allow the publishers to hype up the game even more. They're counting their chickens before they hatch. Then there's pre-order bonuses. Those aren't bonuses. Those are things that were purposely removed from the game so that it would give you an incentive to pre-order the game so you don't miss out on exclusive content. And if you think that it's the evil GameStop that threatens not to carry the game if they don't get an exclusive pre-order bonus, then I have a bridge to sell you. GameStop and the publishers have been in bed for a very long time. And while they've tried to hide it, like when publishers said that used games are killing the industry, hoping that you're stupid enough to not only believe that but also don't know how retail works, they treat you like you're stupid. And you're not stupid. Don't prove them correct. But now they're just like two dogs on the side of the highway fucking each other. Out in the open for everyone to see, with GameStop working with publishers to carve out large amounts of content for pre-order bonuses, and the publishers are happy for it.
Oh yeah, I can really tell that publishers just hate GameStop for throwing money at them to remove chunks of the game to make into exclusive content.
They carve out content to sell the game. They are ransoming content to make sure you buy the game. Watch Dogs has 11 different editions. There's Standard, Classic, AZN Special Edition, Vigilante Edition, Uplay Exclusive Edition, Limited Edition, DedSec Edition, Digital Deluxe Edition, Uplay Deluxe Edition, and a Gold Edition. Each version having content exclusive to it, and exclusive to its own part of the world, and having exclusive content that's only on PlayStation systems. Meaning you need to spend about $1,260 to get all the content. And Sony worked out a deal to get its own exclusive content, like it really needed it considering that the PS4 is the lead system right now. Whatever happened to getting the entire game when you bought it? I understand that you're in business to make money and I can get with that, but don't be greedy and try to squeeze more money out of me than necessary. Because I will kick you in the dick if you try to reach into my wallet again after I already paid you. Like when I bought this game, I was asked if I wanted to buy the season pass, which was $20. No. I absolutely refuse to buy season passes, and you should too. Stop buying season passes, because doing that tells the publisher, yeah, I'll spend $80 for a new game. Games are expensive as they are already. We don't need to tell the people making them that it's okay to increase the price later on down the road and still charge you $20 for a season pass after they increase the base price to $80. And what if the publisher decides not to follow through with the season pass? Or if the developer gets shut down? Oh well, you're screwed now because you just gave them $20 extra for nothing. And chances are you did anyway, because when the Game of the Year edition comes out, it's going to have all that season pass content in it. And it's going to be cheaper than the original price of the game.
Here's what you do. Pre-order a game, then on release day, go in and cancel it.
Imagine what would happen if a company's next big game got so many pre-orders only to have them all canceled. That would shock them, and maybe they'd realize that they can't do what they've been doing for the past few years. Let's be honest, when these games come out, you're going to be able to find them easily. They're not going to go out of stock. The only games that you should pre-order are those niche games that have small releases. Games that they only get a few copies of every once in a while and are only released on one systems, like those really obscure JRPGs like the Hyperdimension Neptunia games, which I have all three for the PlayStation 3. And stop buying games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed, and any other game that just copy and paste its previous game. Those games have become such a joke in the gaming community. If you like them, fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But they are a joke, and more people are getting tired of Activision releasing the new one every year and nothing about it changes. And then they join in on that joke, calling it copy and paste of Duty. I saw a review of Call of Duty that just said, "It's Call of Duty. You'll buy it no matter what anyone says, so just buy it." And the people who make Call of Duty even said that the people who buy it and play it are not gamers and have no intention of changing anything about it, because then they would lose that audience. Isn't that insulting to you? They're calling you idiots and only care about your money. I gotta admit, at least they're being honest about it.
Games like Call of Duty have successfully created a hive mind amongst its audience. When a new one is announced, everyone thinks, oh, I have to get this one, otherwise I'm not going to be able to play with anyone.
Then there's games that are released on early access, where you buy a game in its development stages. I don't think I need to tell you how easily abusable this is. Throw up a barely functioning alpha and get money, as was the case with Earth 2066, or the War Z, later rebranded as Infestation Stories, a barely functional game that charged you $15 and had microtransactions. I'm not saying that early access is bad, but it's ripe with abuse and other platforms want to get in on it, like Sony wanting to try it out on the PS4. And on Steam, it's worse, as the developers can moderate their own store page and remove any criticism that they don't like, which will be all of it. I'm not for early access because it's abusable. A game can be in development for years longer than it should have been and may never get finished. I'm more lenient on Kickstarter projects because it's not as abusable, and it's more prone to outrage when something falls through or when it turns out to be a scam. Speaking of games being in development, the term bullshots have been coming up a lot, like when Watch Dogs or Alien Colonial Marines were announced. The gameplay trailers were amazing. Watch Dogs had a lot of detail in the graphics, like dust blowing in the wind, and Colonial Marines looked like a frightening game with a lot of action. Then another Watch Dogs video was shown and the graphics were watered down, and after its release a guy found settings that were switched off into hidden files on the PC version. When Colonial Marines came out, it was a broken, unplayable mess of a game, making people wonder what happened. Bullshots is what happened. They were highly scripted or just animated using the game's engine to make the game look better than what it really was.
Why can't they just be honest with their game? Oh wait, why be honest when they can make money now and worry about the consequences later?
As is the case with games like Dungeon Keeper Mobile. The free-to-play model has been abused so badly, and when they say, yeah, it was a mistake, they don't fix it. Dungeon Keeper Mobile has been hated because you can't do anything without spending real-world money. You sit and wait. That's not playing a game, that's watching paint dry. But even in the face of scathing criticism, EA did nothing to change it, and when they admitted they made a mistake, they still haven't fixed it. Like when SimCity came out and required to be online for a single-player game, and they found that it barely worked because of the servers not being able to handle all that traffic. Eventually, they released a patch so that it could be played offline. Why or how they didn't learn from the Diablo 3 fiasco is beyond me. And bringing it back around to hype, yeah, this rant isn't that well organized. Watch Dogs is a brand new IP and there's collector's editions. For what? Why make a collector's edition for a new series that may flop? You got a lot of balls to do that, and there's several collector's editions too. And calling Aiden Pierce's hat iconic, it's not iconic. Mario's hat is iconic. Sonic's shoes are iconic. Aiden's hat? No, it's not. It's a black hat with a symbol on it. You can buy a hat with a symbol on it from anywhere. It's not special. It's not unique. I wonder if you'll have that hat in the movie. Oh yeah, they're going to be making a Watch Dogs movie. They talked about the movie deal before the game was even out. Why? The game didn't even have any established credit. The game could have blown zebra dick and they were going to make a movie based off of it. This is the reason why I generally avoid trade show coverage. It's nothing but lies and hype.
I don't think I would ever go to a gaming trade show because I would probably stand in the crowd watching all these trailers and corporate suits on stage and just going, bullshit.
Then there's layoffs and studio closings that happen all the time. You hear horror stories where employees can barely settle down as they have to pick up and move almost constantly. Even when a game makes a profit and meets critical acclaim, because it didn't meet their goals, they report losses. Squeenix did a bunch of corporate restructuring and was hoping that Hitman, Sleeping Dogs, and Tomb Raider would help recoup the money that they lost during the restructure, and they didn't. They still sold very well, but not what they wanted. Why spend so much on corporate restructuring to the point where you lost a lot of money? Do they just throw darts at a board to see how much they should spend? I love Tomb Raider 2013, it's my game of the year for that year. And when they announced the sequel Rise of the Tomb Raider as an Xbox One exclusive, I flipped my shit. Oh, I sent a lot, and I mean a lot of angry tweets at Squeenix for 3 days in a row. And gaming journalists on Joystick and Kotaku were suckling at Squeenix's teat, saying that the anger is unwarranted. Well, fuck you, it is. Squeenix reported that Tomb Raider didn't sell the copies that they wanted, regardless that it made them a huge profit. So instead of making Rise of the Tomb Raider for all systems, nope, Xbox One exclusive. Want to play the sequel? Gotta buy an Xbox One. Well, that just shot the price of the game up an extra $400 for most people. Why would they do that? Why would they make a game exclusive to a console that's not selling that well? The PlayStation 4 outsells the Xbox One 2.5 to 1. There are more PlayStation 4s in homes than Xbox Ones. Why do this? Because Microsoft threw money at you for it? Well, I hope that money will cover all the losses you're going to have because no one in the right mind is going to shell out $400 just to play one game.
Then they said it was a timed exclusive, so all those PS4 owners are just going to wait. I know I will because I'm not going to buy a brand new system just to play one game.
The reason why this is such a big deal is because we're at a point in time where game developers were cut off a series just because it didn't sell as well as they had hoped, regardless of profit. So if Rise of the Tomb Raider doesn't meet their goals, they may just kill off the series entirely. For example, F-Zero is dead and gone because GX didn't meet Nintendo's goals. The only thing we get is Captain Falcon and Smash Brothers, and that'll be it. It's a teasing reminder of, hey, remember this? This existed at one point. Mega Man is another franchise that's been left to rot, and more companies just seem to be abandoning more of their properties. Just because they didn't meet your sales expectations doesn't mean that they have to go away. Develop them on a cheaper budget and release them as budget titles. Not everything has to be a AAA game. And it all boils down to that phrase, AAA title. It needs to go away and go away now. It's like the phrase too big to fail. Essentially giving a free pass to overinflate their budget, carve out things that should be in the game for DLC and pre-order exclusives, charging microtransactions, I blame mobile games for that, and the list goes on. All this started in the 7th generation of systems and didn't get this bad until a few years ago. But the 6th generation still put out full and complete games and didn't overinflate their budget. It's gotten to the point where marketing and promoting of a game costs more than actual development.
Then we circle back to mainstream gaming media and one topic that some people have been wanting me to talk about.
Gaming websites have been making rock stars out of developers, like Phil Fish, who's only made one game and his ego has been so overinflated that he thinks he's right and everyone's wrong, allowing him to say and do whatever he wants. Fez is a good game, and I will not rate it any higher than that. It's not a full price, nor is it anywhere near gift from God. And mainstream gaming media has become so dishonest lately, promoting their own agenda rather than reporting on games. Like talking about the Zoe Quinn conspiracy is a bannable offense on certain websites. I don't give a shit if she slept with 5 guys from different gaming websites to further her quote-unquote career. But you can't make a PowerPoint presentation and call yourself a game developer, okay? It doesn't work that way. And you know they're getting paid or kickbacks from publishers. Just recently there was an article on Polygon about how games with microtransactions aren't that bad, or how the Rise of Tomb Raider reactions being an Xbox One exclusive were unjustified, or how gamers are full of hate, or how gamers act like entitled brats. In order. Microtransactions are easily abused. Making a third-party game exclusive to one system excludes customers. Game journalists know very well that toxic gamers, while loud, are such a minority that they don't even count as human. Games are expensive. You better damn bet we're entitled to something for our $60, unlike game journalists who were either given a copy for free or given a review copy. They try to shame you into agreeing with them, using very shady tactics to get you on their side, when they are just as bad as the people they claim they don't like.
I love gaming, but I am just sick and tired of seeing these shady business practices. They need to stop and stop soon, because the industry is ruining something really good with their reckless greed.